Hey guys, welcome to Sparta Airport's EAA Fly-In, Chapter 704 at 8 Delta 4. We are out by the runway. We're just gonna hang out here for a little bit. We're gonna watch some airplanes land, kind of right down in the touchdown zone. Then we'll do some walking around and talk to some folks. We'll find out what's happening in the fly-in, and then I'm gonna work to answer some questions. I'll be flipping back and forth between my ugly mug and airplanes that are landing. I've got two on downwind right now, came in formation, one's cutting base. There's just so many cool airplanes. There's gonna be so many cool airplanes here today. I thought it would be great to catch some of the action. So I'm gonna flip her back around. We've got a couple coming in on final right now, and we'll see if we can't capture some landings. We are into the sun pretty heavy, but we can get them. You can see one on final right now and then another one coming right behind it. The sun's so bright I can't really tell what they are, and I don't have a radio. I should have one, but looks like a nice little arrow that just landed. And behind it we've got a cub or a, we'll see. Beautiful, dead, calm wind day. Unbelievable, really. What a great morning we've got. There's a mall, a beautiful little mall. I'm actually gonna make a move here. We've got another plane turning base right now. I'm gonna make a move, and we're gonna see if we can't catch them on their rollout just a little bit longer than I did already. Hey, good morning, man. Appreciate you being here. Again, we're just gonna hang out by this runway for a little while, catch all these airplanes coming in, then we'll tour the facility a little bit, tour the fly-in, maybe talk to some people. Just thought it was a great morning to share some beautiful Michigan general aviation. Yeah, it looks like we've got a Bonanza, I'm guessing, on final from the look of those tip tanks. You can see them hanging out there maybe a little bit. Oh yeah, nice little squeaker. I honestly don't know what that is. I'd be lying if I said I did. It was painted so dark I couldn't tell. Anyways, oh man, we already got another one coming on base. I said as part of this, I really wanted to do some question and answer. Hey, PC Doctor. Mooney's doing good. Still hunting that oil leak a little bit, but I think overall we're doing good. I don't have it out today. I am going to do some flying tomorrow morning that I hope to get on camera. I appreciate you being here. So it looks like we've got I'm guessing a 172 turning final right now. Perhaps you can see it in the coming out of the sun there. Again, you could not ask for a nicer day. What a gorgeous morning. It's about 60 degrees, 62 degrees, sun shining, and there is not a flicker of wind out here. So there's no excuses for all these guys or all these pilots. They should be putting them right on the money. Not too bad. Three-pointed it, hit them all a little bit. Another nice little 172. Uh-oh. Airport management coming after me now.
Want to go across?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks, Marty.
You're the guy I don't have to brief, so do what you like.
Yeah, I'm just going live, and I'll be out here for a while.
Man, such a nice morning.
Oh, man. Thanks for everything you do here, Marty.
Yeah, no problem. If you need anything, just text me, okay?
We'll do.
I'm hoping this is the job this morning.
All right, so it looks like the pattern is a little empty right now. I don't see any other planes coming in. So I said as part of this, I'd like to do a little Q&A. You know, over the past, I don't know, few weeks, I've really noticed that a lot of questions are being asked about general aviation and a lot of the same questions. So I thought it would be really cool to try and answer some of those here, especially for the people who maybe aren't involved in aviation or are looking to get involved in aviation or are just curious. There's a lot of people that are just curious about what we do here in general aviation. So one of the first questions everybody always asks when they find out I have an airplane or that I fly is, how much will it cost you to take me somewhere, right? First, how much would it cost me to go to be taken somewhere? And it's always a tough question for me to answer because, well, man, I can't charge you. I'm not a commercial pilot. And even if I was, it's pretty unlikely that it would make financial sense for you to fly with me aside from, or rather than driving or flying commercially. Now, with that said, I always try and go into the explanation that as a private pilot, I exercise the privilege of receiving your fair share for flying in my airplane. So if I were to take somebody on a trip and it cost me $500 and they were the only passenger, they could pay 50% of that. That's my common answer, my standard answer. I think that's by the books, and that's what I would exercise if somebody was forcing money on me, which I hope they don't. That's not why I fly. I fly to give people maybe the adventure or the opportunity that they've never had before. And although sure, money has to be made and it has to be spent to fly these things, that's not my goal. So anyways, more times than not, it's just it just does not make financial sense to use a general aviation airplane to do traveling. Oh, we'll flip her around real quick here. We got another one coming in on final. I saw your question, PC. I will give you my opinion on why it's so expensive. Oh, we got a little off center line. He's drifting back over. I'm guessing it's PA 12. I won't be able to tell really. Oh, maybe I'm way wrong. I think it's a 140. Definitely a Cessna, little 140. Beautiful little airplane. All right, looks like there's nobody else in the pattern, so I'll get back to a question that PC asked, and he asked very, very clearly, why is airplane ownership so expensive? I think general aviation in general is so expensive, and my opinion is it's a little over-regulated. Now, I understand that there's all kinds of supply and demand and economies of scale that go into airplane costs. It's not like automobiles. People simply don't buy as many airplanes. Not as many airplanes are produced. So it is more expensive because we just don't make very many of them. But I also really struggle to understand how much regulation happens in the aviation world. We are at an EAA event right now, Experimental Aviation Association. I might have got that wrong, but it's all about experimental airplanes, people building their own airplanes. I think that is the future of aviation. That's the only way that we can control our own costs a little bit. You know, you can build, I did a video a while ago about a Sling TSI where I talked to Chris Block, who built the airplane, and he built it for somewhere in the area of $250,000. That same airplane would cost $1 million easy to get something that capable, maybe a little bit less for a registered airplane, a certified airplane. So it's really my belief that we will struggle to keep it inexpensive if we allow regulation to continue as much as it has. I'll give another thought about that. I'm not talking bad about it. I understand the need for it, but I will give another thought about that in a minute. Looks like we've got another Cessna on final, and he's a little high right now, and another one behind me in the pattern. Not a Cessna. So let's see what we break out of the sunlight here this morning. Looks like he's getting it under control a little bit on a pretty good little glide path. He's dropping it in nice now. Again, there's no wind this morning. It is so beautiful. We're so fortunate. Oh, one teeny little bounce, but pretty darn good. Nice little 172 again. I got a feeling we'll see quite a few of those today. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. He's way up there, but there's a black speck right in the middle of my screen. We got another tail dragger coming in of some sort. Too far away for me to tell. And I'm just not that smart. So while he comes in, we'll leave this on focused on final. While he comes in, I'll give an example of where I think money is spent just inappropriately in general aviation and how that trickles down to us. And, you know, I think there's organizations out there who are looking to curb that and really start to make a difference. Oh, you're right, man. They were some big flaps, no doubt about it. I actually don't miss them. The Moonies are obviously much smaller, and I'm okay with that. So here's an example of where I think money is spent poorly in general aviation or in aviation in general. The auto land system that Garmin has developed and come out with. It's, to me, in my opinion, it's solving a problem that doesn't exist. Sure, it happens. There's pilots who become incapacitated while they're flying with passengers and bad things happen, but it's such a small amount of time. I really like the technology. The technology is awesome, but again, I think it's unnecessary. They're solving a problem that doesn't exist. In commercial aviation, there's two pilots in anything that's carrying passengers. Oh, here we go. Ooh, a little Scout. I only know that because it was on the tail. I'd have no clue otherwise. I need to get more familiarized with my tail dragger airplanes. So anyways, back to my comment about that auto land system. Again, technology is awesome. For us to be able to do that is so cool. But I either saw an interview or read an article from somebody involved in developing it at Garmin, and he talked about how many man hours they had put towards that system, towards the development of that system. And I did a little hillbilly math just based on what I think those guys probably make a year who are working on them all those hours. And it was something north of $500 million that had been invested into that program. Now, again, I'm okay with $500 million being invested into a program if it solves everybody's problem, right? If it helps everybody in the community. I'm never going to see an auto land system in an airplane I own. I know that. That's not going to happen. It doesn't help me. And unfortunately, that $500 million had to be funded by my stuff that I buy, right? Because no one's buying this yet. No one's buying the auto land. So to me, it's just it's a little crazy. It allows costs to get out of hand. And that's why GPS costs $10,000, you know, to get a new GPS for an airplane when it should cost $2,000. So anyways, my rant's over. It is expensive to fly in general aviation. And that's the next question I really want to talk about. I get asked a lot, well, man, that must be so expensive to own an airplane. Well, you guys know, many of you know, I own an airplane in a little bit more unique situation. It's not that unique in aviation. A lot of people do it. I own it in a partnership to control costs. And it's fantastic. It can be done. Anybody that really wants to fly or wants to own an airplane, really wants to do it for the right reason, can do it. My airplane costs like 35 grand, 32.5 plus some maintenance that we did right away. It was not crazy. Now the market's gone up since then. Call it an investment. I'm happy. But I did not go spend $1 million on an airplane or $500,000 on an airplane. There are, at least in my community, there are plenty of people who've spent way more money on classic cars, on race cars. I've been part of the racing community a long time. Race cars cost a lot of money. On boats. We live in Michigan where there's tons of inland lakes and of course the Great Lakes. There's 30 grand doesn't get you much of a boat, right? Sure, I have to pay a little bit more to store it here, to have a hangar, and you know, there are some added costs. But if it is your hobby, if it is your passion or your dream, it's not outrageous. It can be done on a fairly modest salary in today's world. Now, again, everybody makes different decisions, so I can't tell you if it's affordable for one person or affordable for the next. I can't tell you that. I don't know your situation. For me, it's been affordable. The support of you all has been inspirational, and it's been just so much fun. So, yes, it's expensive to own an airplane, and but it is doable, very doable. So the next question that was asked, I'm just looking around here real quick. I don't see any planes in the pattern. And unfortunately, I'm recording this with my phone, so I can't look at FlightAware to know how close any might be. But we'll keep our eyes out, and we'll switch back to looking at airplanes here in a minute. When it does slow down significantly, I'll take a walk down the row of airplanes. Oh, we'll flip this around real quick. I've got a little 150 commuter, looks like. There's our beautiful grass. Beautiful little 150E. I did most of my training in a 150 and then moved to a 152 towards the end of my training. They really are underrated airplanes, in my opinion. They really get the job done. That one looks like it has a stole kit on it. You can see the wings really coming over on it. I'm sure that thing gets off the ground pretty well. I do wish they had about 50 more horse, and I know they make the conversion. That would be a lot of fun. So we'll just keep our eyes down here, wait for him to take off. Again, I don't see any other planes in the pattern quite yet. So let's talk about the next question that I get asked a lot, right? And this is one of the most fun for me to answer. Hey, PC, I'll answer his question first, otherwise I'll forget what it is. Can your Mooney handle 4 passengers? So my Mooney with full tanks can carry a little less than 700 pounds. Just for easy math, maybe 650 pounds. So if the people are right-sized, then yes, I can. My family fits perfectly in it. I have 2 young children and my wife. You know, I'm about 210. My wife's just a touch over 100 pounds, and my girls are both young and small. So that works really well. As they grow, we will likely grow out of it. Now, of course, I could always fly on less fuel, but that limits your range. So I could take 100 pounds of fuel out and use that for baggage. That's where you really start to lose out, is how much baggage you can carry with people. Now, have there been people who put 4 grown men in a Mooney, in a C model Mooney? I'm sure there have, and they've probably lived to tell about it. But I'm not going to be doing that. But I know it's possible. So again, the question that I really like to answer, and every time somebody asks me this, I pull out my phone, I pull out FlyQ, which is my EFB, I punch in the information, and I just show them, and it's really fun. It's how long would it take to get somewhere? I even answer that question when people don't ask me. It's so much fun. Like, oh, you're going to Cincinnati this week? How long of a drive is that? Is what I really like to say. And then I'll pull out my EFB and punch it in and say, oh, I could get there in, whatever the time is. So it's a lot of fun to show them that, 4 or 5 hour trips in a car might take an hour or an hour and 20 minutes in the airplane. That's a lot of fun. I talk about things that people don't really realize, which is cool, that there are crew cars in a lot of these airports. So you don't just get there and without transportation. You don't just get there. Of course, you got to plan ahead and know they're there, but you can typically find some good ground transportation. And I know these days there's options to rent other people's car, or of course get Ubers or whatever. So ground transportation is becoming less and less of an issue, and we're fortunate for that. Looks like we've got a little ultralight in the pattern. I know nothing about ultralights, except as when I was training. Yeah, it's too far away for you guys to make it out right now, but we'll get it when it's closer to the ground. When I was training, powered parachutes were huge at our airport. I mean, they were everywhere. We used to joke, like, you got to dodge them, right? You just have to, you're always dodging powered parachutes, picking your way through them. And I'm not sure why. Perhaps it was regulation or who knows. But for some reason, they've all but disappeared. They're gone. I haven't seen a powered parachute at Sparta Airport in a long time. Now, I was just over getting some work done on the Mooney, as many of you may know. I was over there in Hastings, and which is just the east side of Grand Rapids. And there was somebody, I learned that there's somebody out there building powered parachutes, which I thought was pretty cool. And he even was test flying some while I was there. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Hey man, we're having a pancake breakfast this morning. You should get off this dumb thing and come check it out. Check out some airplanes. It's open to the public. I think it's like $8 to get pancakes. You should be here. Make sure you tell me who you are though. So again, here we go. A little ultralight coming in. Tail dragger ultralight. Oh man, it sounded light too. You could barely even hear him touch. And now we've got right up above us a nice little, oh man, I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Hard to see, but a nice little midfield crosswinder. Looks like a cub, carbon cub maybe. We'll see as he comes in. He's turning downwind right now. And that little 150 is about to take off. Hopefully that sun keeps going up enough that we lose some of this glare. I apologize for that, guys, but that's, hey, can't complain about the sun, right? So here we go, 150 on takeoff roll. Hear that mean 100 horses and that 0200 just a kicking. Hey Mike, thanks for being here. Sorry to hear you don't have the Mooney with you. I know how that goes. When mine was at annual, I was very sad. Nice little 150 taking off. Again, just an absolutely gorgeous day. I cannot believe it. We're so fortunate. All right, that looks like, I think it's a carbon cub, but we'll see. He's extending downwind right now. So anyways, I was over at Hastings and they were, I found out they had some powered parachute manufacturing over there and they were test flying them a little bit. So that was neat to see. But then in talking with the mechanic, I found it interesting that it sounds like the vast majority of those powered parachutes get shipped overseas. I don't remember where. I don't know if he said Israel or somewhere in the Middle East. What I'm guessing, or what he thought they were being used for, was some sort of military or police action. I thought that was pretty interesting. I know they're great camera platforms, and they're nice and slow. But that was pretty interesting to me. I don't see them around here hardly at all, and they're getting shipped overseas. So I'll shut up for a minute as this, what I think is a carbon cub, comes in on final. Give me an opportunity to get some coffee. Here he comes. Short final, nice and slow. Oh, beautiful landing. Absolutely beautiful. You guys tell me I was wrong. Obviously, it's not a carbon cub. I'm not quite sure what it was. If you guys know what these planes are, and I don't, feel free to tell me. Now we got a little, maybe a Stitz, a little biplane flying over the field right now. That'll be awesome. If you can't see, the field is starting to fill up. We had some campers here overnight, which was fantastic. And of course, some of the locals have their airplanes out, but the vast majority of what you see in this field behind me are from the fly-in. Again, it's, this is not a unique thing to Sparta Airport. This is, I'm gonna try and get a little bit closer here and try and get out of that sun touch. Anyways, this is not unique to the Sparta Airport. I mean, we have a great EAA chapter here at the airport, but if you guys are interested in going out and seeing a bunch of airplanes like this, like what I'm doing, all you have to do is a quick Google search and you will find Pancake breakfast, or I'm sure if you go to the EAA website, you'll see a listing of Pancake breakfast, and you can come out and see a bunch of airplanes and talk to airplane enthusiasts. And there's opportunities for your kids to do young eagle rides where they get an opportunity to fly with a pilot. I'll tell you a story about that in a little bit, which is just unbelievable to me. I look back on it and I can't even believe it happened, about me flying Young Eagle rides. So there's just great opportunity to be involved with the community. Of course, here we've got some RC airplanes as well, which is really neat to watch or to see. I don't know if they're going to be doing any flying today with so much air traffic. It's kind of hard to justify letting the model guys fly too. But all right, we've got this little biplane coming in hot. I know these things can be a little bit of a bugger to land, so we're gonna make sure we're on our toes in case something goes awry. Oh man, and we got a treat coming in behind that. It looks like he's doing he's not quite flying the right pattern maybe, but man, we got a treat coming in, I think. Oh, it's an open cockpit. Oh, what a good landing. I know those things can be real tough. So I'm not exactly sure what we've got that just flew over me, but let's just say it's a canard type airplane. So I'm excited to see what that thing looks like when it gets on the ground. He's kind of flew midfield crosswind, we'll say the wrong way, and now he's going to turn around and come midfield crosswind back across, it looks like, and he'll get in the pattern. Looks like he's the next one in the pattern right now. Downwind base and final are empty. So I'll tell you a little story real quick about Young Eagle rides. Young Eagles are how I got my first ride. Again, it's an opportunity for pilots like myself to give rides to kids free of cost. There's no charge. So if you're interested, your kids are interested in aviation and you don't know somebody in aviation, go find the Young Eagles, get them in an airplane. They won't regret it. You won't regret it. So many of you know I got my license at a very young age. I was 15 when I started flying, soloed at 16, had my license a couple days after my 17th birthday. I was real fortunate. And my birthday was in June, and I think it was that same year, but it might have been the next year. We had our fly-in, right? Oh, cool, Mike. Thanks for sharing that. Mike said it's a long easy. He saw him leave his backyard. You got to see him leave, and now you'll get to see him land. How awesome is that? Very cool. I haven't seen one in person. I can't say that I ever have. So anyways, maybe I had my license a year, because I know I had our Cessna 172 that my dad bought once he started flying. And we were doing Young Eagles, right? And they asked if I would participate. And of course, I was a young kid. I didn't mind. But at that time in my life, I didn't really realize that I would be taking other people's kids with me. Like, it just didn't register to me that it was that big a deal. So, you know, parents show up to the event, they schlep their kids in my airplane, and I take them for airplane rides and land and come back. And then I had my own kids about 10 years later. And it registered to me that event happened. It registered to me that I took a bunch of kids on airplane rides at 17 or 18 years old in an airplane that parents knew nothing about, with a guy that parents didn't know at all, right? And they had just put this faith in me, this immediate trust in me, because I had my pilot's license and an airplane, and a nice looking, beautiful airplane. I just couldn't, once I had kids, I couldn't believe it. I would never take my kids to a random airport and throw them in the airplane with an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid. It just didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me now as a parent. So anyways, you can certainly pick the pilot that you want flying your kids. That's fully acceptable. But if they are interested, get them out there. I'm gonna flip this back around. I think it's that easy. I can't tell. Such a weird, yeah, it's definitely that easy coming in. You can see his big tip, his wingtips sticking up. Such a sleek profile through the air, you know. Somebody mentioned a little bit ago those big barn door flaps hanging down on a Cessna. You can't even see anything here hardly. It is so sleek, which is a big reason that makes them fast and makes them efficient. That's for sure. I would like to think my Mooney's nice and sleek too, but I don't know if it's quite this sleek. And the wingspan on this thing is teeny. And he's coming in hot. Holy cow. I don't know what the landing speed is on these things, but it's not slow, that's for sure. He's definitely gonna roll out to the end of the runway. I bet if anybody on here knows what the landing speed is on a long EZ, I'd be interested to see that, because wow, that was something. He must have been doing 100 coming over the numbers. At least all of 100. Pretty cool airplane. All right, so I got another question that I'll answer, something I've been thinking about a little bit. One of the questions I get asked often is, what's the furthest you've ever gone, right? And I am not a good example of what's the furthest you've ever gone. I need to start extending the furthest I've ever gone. And then that question is always followed up, well, how far could the airplane go? So the furthest I've gone, I took a trip from Sparta to Moberly, Missouri. Did it a year and a half ago for work or so. And that was about a 10-hour drive, maybe a touch over a 10-hour drive, and it was a 3-hour flight in the Mooney. And it was perfect because by the time I got on the ground, my bladder had enough. I had to waddle to the FBO. It was pretty ugly. I couldn't even put in fuel first. So 3 hours is about as long of a stint as I like to make at any given time, both because of fuel and because of my bladder. Plus, my Mooney is a 63 C model, so I've only got 48 gallons. Some of the later Moonies, I think they went up to 52 or 54. I don't know, somebody can correct me. I think 52 they went up to. But I've only got 48 gallons. So, you know, burning 9 gallons an hour. I definitely have, 4.5, 5 hours of fuel, but I don't like to push that too much. So again, then the next question is, how far could you go? How far could you go? And I try and explain it all. I try and answer it all as concisely as I can. But the answer is, it depends, right? It just depends. If I have a 40-knot tailwind or a 40-knot headwind, it makes a big difference on how far I can go. If I'm in a hurry, I can't go as far because I'm going to go faster. I'm going to run it at 24 squared or 25 squared. If I'm not in a hurry, I can pull the power back. I can climb to higher altitude. I can really get the fuel consumption down and give some speed back for that. And that's a good trade-off sometimes. So the answer is, it's hard to answer, but conservatively, I can go 700 or 800 miles on a tank, and then I can fill it back up and go again. Luckily, I've got a carbureted engine. Oh man, that's crazy. Your legs must have been cramped like crazy. No, I didn't, PC. I did not make it to Oshkosh. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Mostly my own poor planning. Anybody? Because I have no clue what that is. No clue. All the way across the country in a 150. That is something, man. That is dedication. I don't remember the channel, but I did watch a little docu-series, 2 or 3 or 4, I don't remember how many part series it was, of a guy who flew a Stitz biplane across the country. He bought it and was flying it home. I'm sure that's much the same, short interval stuff, not a lot of avionics, some good old-fashioned navigation, and really something to be proud of. I'd like to do more of that. My Mooney's equipped well enough where I can make the trip across the country pretty easy. I actually have a trade show in Vegas in a couple months here, and I've talked about making that trip, but we'll see. I already booked a commercial flight, so maybe I won't. So we got another Cessna on final. That one's pretty easy to see. I'm guessing it's 172. I'm waiting for that 150 to come back with the big tips. See how slow he brings it in. Oh man, he put it right on the numbers. Nice little bird. We'll go get up close and personal with some of these airplanes in a little bit here. Right now, I think is about prime time for airplanes coming in, although I don't see any more in the pattern quite yet. But, oh yeah, there we go. We got one on downwind. I'm guessing an RV. Looks like an RV from here. Definitely a tail dragger of some sort. Got to find some really cool planes to come in. Unfortunately, when I got out here, the steerman had just landed. It's out over on the ramp somewhere. I'm guessing he's giving rides today. It's pretty typical steerman rides at a fly-in. So let's talk a little bit more about questions that I get asked. I'm gonna leave the camera pointed at the runway because we got one coming, starting to turn base right now, it looks like. One of the questions I get a lot is, how much would it cost for me to get a pilot's license? And you know, that's again another hard question to answer. There's a lot of variety out there based on what you do, but I try and give people my opinion of a best case scenario. And what I would do if it was me starting over again and I was only pursuing flying for general aviation purposes. My answer is, well, it depends on who you fly with. You know, big city rates are going to be higher than small town rates. Where I live, you can fly for about $200 an hour, 140 for the airplane, 50 for an instructor, thereabouts, right? And the amount of hours you're going to accrue depends on where you fly from as well. I'm a big advocate for learning, getting your private at the very least from an uncontrolled airport, not close to major metropolitan areas. You will spend more time in the air. You will get your license with fewer hours, and you'll just be, in my opinion, more successful. Now you got to force yourself to get into the big airports too. So my story, again, it was a long time ago, right? But I did it for about $5,000. Thanks, Mom and Dad. They were very nice to do it. But I rented a 172 for $100, or a 150 for $100 an hour, and an instructor for like 40 at the time. But because I want to add one caveat to that. One, we'll let this guy come in and then I'll pick that story back up. I guessed an RV. I could be wrong. Let's see. Really stable. Perfectly beautiful, stable air today. Looks like an RV6. Pretty sure RV6. Really left the power in pretty long. I don't know if that's common. Maybe he came in a little fast and just wanted to let her slow down. Pretty good control. So back to my story. It was 2003, I think, when I started flying, somewhere right around there. I flew from Sparta, and I got my license in just a touch over 40 hours. I was really fortunate. But that happened because of these things that I talked about already. It happened because I was flying from an airport where I could get in the air very quickly. So a lot of my 40 hours was actually flying, not taxiing. We'll flip around here real quick. Got a Super Cub, blue and red. Maybe he's going flying, because he certainly didn't just land. What a beautiful picture airplane. Look at all that glass. If you can see it, he's got glass everywhere. It's absolutely gorgeous. So again, I did a lot of flying because it was a small airport. Fire up the airplane and in 10 minutes you're in the air or less. So that, to me, that's a great benefit. Probably the thing that people can do to control the cost the most, and this is probably going to sound a little bit different than what you hear other places, is before you ever go step foot in an airplane, I mean, you could go get rides or whatever, but before you ever pay to step foot in an airplane, you should become a pilot in your mind. You should think about it. You should learn about it. You should start to watch videos and understand how other pilots are flying. And not that you need to learn everybody's bad habits, but you need to walk into that airplane with an understanding. You can't, it's like getting into, I equate it this way. It's like driving a manual car, right? When I learned to drive a manual car, standard shift car, no one had to teach me. I had learned the theory well before I ever set foot in the car. And did I have to learn the muscle control? Of course I did. But but I had the theory. I knew what the pedals did. I knew how to work it, all right? So there was no real learning curve. It was pretty quick. Same thing with airplanes. If you know the theory, you will, and can do it in your head, you will practically be faster to learn. Now, everybody learns at a different rate, right? Some people have the muscle control right away and they understand it. Some people don't. But not only should you learn the theory of how an airplane flies, but you should dig in even deeper. You should learn the theory of how the engine runs, how the controls are connected. You have to immerse yourself. And if you immerse yourself for 3 to 6 months before you get involved, I believe you'll be a pilot faster than if you took those 3 to 6 months and went out to the airport and just got in a plane and knew nothing about it. So there's my rant there. I saw a comment pop up. I couldn't read it all. I apologize. But I think it said something to the effect of, the best thing you can do is commit to the funds, right? Commit to the funds. And I didn't see the rest of it, but here's my opinion on that. Yes, you should have the money committed. It should not be a scratch my way through this kind of thing. Now, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But if you have to scratch your way through it for 6 months or a year and a half, you're probably better served saving that money for that 6 months, year and a half, immersing yourself in all things aviation, and then committing the funds and just doing it. Along those, we got a Super Cub taking off now, that Super Cub. Let's see how quick he can get off the ground. We're gonna make a little move here. Listen to that. That was beautiful. What a great sounding airplane. That's like that's a climb I get when it's 20 degrees. I'm by myself with half tanks in the Mooney. It just doesn't happen that often. All right, we're gonna keep moving down this way and we'll watch them land a little bit from behind and see if we can't get that glare out of it a little bit. I just want to say, I really appreciate y'all being here. This is so much fun. Thank you for being here and interacting, and I'm really so thankful I can share general aviation with the community, and many of you are already in the community. It's just, what a fantastic deal. So anyways, back to the, learning to fly conversation. If you can wait until you have the funds and can commit the funds and then do it quickly, right? Don't do a lesson every 2 weeks or a lesson every month, but do a lesson every other day or twice or 3 times a week. I think many people will tell you is the best frequency to take lessons. I think you'll be better for it. You'll learn faster, you'll retain faster, you'll gain more confidence more quickly. You'll hit your milestones faster. That milestone of soloing, I still remember mine to this day. It was, I left the ground, I'm climbing out, and the only thing I could think in my head was, it's on you now, buddy. Like, there's nobody here to save your butt. And it was not a pre-planned thing. I hear a lot of times in at least big flight schools, it's pre-planned, right? It's, oh, here's your pre-solo checklist. We're going to work through this. We're going to clear you. We're going to plan the solo. You're going to come in, do the solo. We got 2 coming in right now, so I'll shut up in a minute here. For me, it was, we had done a lesson. We landed. My instructor looked at me and said, you're ready. Go park over there. I'll jump out. And he did. I didn't have time to think about it. I didn't have time to overthink about it. And we got it on video somewhere. It's on VHS. I greased 3 of them in pretty good. I was pretty happy with it because I didn't allow myself to get too worked up. You're just in the moment and you did it. So while I was chatting there, I saw that comment, like, if you fly once a week and you get weathered out and then it's 2 weeks and it extends, and it's not a great thing. This might be that little 150 coming back. Whoever it is, they've got some big wingtips on as well. No, different 150, different 150, same big wingtips. Nice landing. See how long he held off that nose wheel? That was really nice. He was a little far down the runway, but that's all good. Oh man, you're right. You cannot forget that solo. It was, what an experience. And the first plane I flew in, oh man, I should remember the tail number, but I'm struggling to now. It's been too long. The first plane I flew in, we didn't even have an intercom. So my first 7 or 8 hours of flight lessons were screaming back and forth between my instructor and me. My first instructor, Tom Kazura, who was a phenomenal person, phenomenal aviator. And then making radio calls on a little handheld mic. It's like I say to a lot of people, you can't enjoy the good days unless you have some bad ones. Not that that was a bad experience, but having noise canceling headsets and intercoms with selectable switches where I can shut the kids off in the back and I don't have to hear them, and you just can't appreciate that unless you started yelling back and forth across the cockpit with your instructor. So I don't know, man. Good thing that was a 150. It was quiet enough to be able to hear, I guess, a little bit. But I'm sure there were times when we had to pull the power back just to be able to talk and hear each other. We'd talk about the next maneuver as we pulled the power back. All right, we got another one coming in on final right now. Pretty cool. He's got a alternating landing light. I really like that feature. It's flashing back and forth. You may or may not be able to see it, but it really helps bring some awareness. Looks like a 182 from the look of those vent fins on the side. Pretty nice 182. My opinion, one of the most capable airplanes out there. When we were looking at airplanes, my partner and I, we looked at a 182, no suffix 182, early model 182. It's here on the field, and it's a real nice airplane. We just decided it wasn't quite for us. We wanted some more fuel burn, or better fuel burn. So starting to warm up a little bit out here, but man, is it beautiful. Again, I'll go on my rant about the community. If you have the opportunity, find one of these events local. They happen all over the place. Get out, see the community, be a part of the aviation community, even if you don't fly already. I think you'll be thankful for it. Really, I think you'll be thankful for it. All right, so I want to go back to my questions. I've got another one that I get asked a lot. I'm going to just take a peek around here real quick. I don't see any other planes in the pattern right now. A little bit of a brief lull. So a question I get asked a lot is, if you're going to go somewhere, do you have to file a flight plan? Do you have to talk to a bunch of people? Do you have to clear it to go anywhere? And that one always makes me chuckle because people think aviation is so structured. And it is. I mean, there's a lot of structure, right? We have to do the things that keep us alive. No, now I see a plane on downwind. That's cool. We'll pick that up in a minute. Aviation is very structured, rightfully so. We got to keep people safe out here. But when I tell them that, hey, thanks, Mike. We'll keep an eye out for him. When I tell them that, get in my airplane, never turn a radio to a single person and fly across the country, they can't hardly believe it. It's so free. We can be free if we want. Now, that might not be the smartest thing to do all the time, right? I do talk to people, but I don't have to go through some interview process or fill out big forms to go places. I can just take off and go. All right, thanks, man. We had some big power outages around here over the past couple of days, and hopefully I'm getting good service. I didn't even look at that. Hopefully it gets caught up. Apologize if there's any bad buffering. I'm just on the old LTE, so. So anyways, yeah, we don't have to talk to anybody. Actually, you don't even have to have an electrical system in your airplane. You can fly with no electrical system and talk to 0 people. Now, that's not what I do. I'm going to flip it back around because we got one coming in, and then I'll continue that conversation a little bit. I'm guessing it's another Cessna from the looks of those barn door flaps, as somebody mentioned before. I don't even remember the V speeds on a Cessna. What does a 172 land at anymore? I'm so indoctrinated with my Mooney speeds. Anybody that knows, just throw it down there in the comments. What does a 172? What's final? What are you looking for on final? Morning, Dad. Thanks for being here. If you and Mom aren't doing anything, come out and get some pancakes. The old Sparta Airport Fly-In. Another 172, man. He's holding it off. Pretty good. Maybe dropped it in from 6 inches. I've never done that. Oh, man. Well, now we got a treat. We got 2 in the pattern. Not sure if you can see them. Looks like maybe 2 more steermen in the pattern. I only guess that because those big old wheels. They could be Cubs. I don't know. But looks like in true tail dragger fashion, which I appreciate, it was really taught to me at a young age, they're making it a tight pattern. I like to see that. I'm really hoping nobody wants to land where I'm standing. Some guys look like landing in the grass here. I'm right next to the VASI lights, so hopefully they don't try and get too close to those lights. These guys got me a touch nervous though, so I'm gonna pick up my stuff just in case I gotta haul the mail. Now it looks like he's turning final for the pavement. Look at that beautiful silhouette. Oh my goodness. Slipping it in just a touch. Yeah, it's gotta be a Stearman, big radial on it. 3-pointed. What a cool airplane. We got another one coming in. We got 3 more airplanes on downwind. It's really starting to pick up around here. If anybody commented between over the last minute, I didn't see it because we're looking at airplanes. Another one. Again, a beautiful silhouette coming in. That one's hard to see. The color scheme blends right in, camouflaged right in with the trees behind it. So cool, so docile looking. Again, I've never been in one, but they just seem so docile. All right, we got another plane turning tight base right now. Looks like maybe a Cub, Carbon Cub, something like that. Oh man, he's pitching her in hard. You hope everybody has confidence in what they're doing. That was a little more bank angle than I like to see base to final. I'm not trying to critique, I'm just trying to be honest. The base to final stalls have me scared. I've actually changed my approach and I keep my airspeed up a little bit more now, base to final, just to stay safe. I'm not even gonna guess at this one right now. Looks like it could be a Taylor Craft, or I'd said I wasn't gonna guess, and there I go guessing. I don't know, somebody tell me. If you know the airplane, call it out. Maybe it's, I don't know. I don't even wanna guess. I'm not good at these. Looks like maybe a little RV coming on final now. Whatever it is, it's sleek. It's fast. We got another one on base, or another one on downwind, excuse me, and another one on base. We got 3 planes in the pattern right now. Starting to fill up. You don't miss days like this. You do not miss. If you're in Michigan and have the opportunity, you're flying today. No doubt about that. 2 on final. Maybe you guys can see them stacked right up on top of each other. And looks like we've got a 180 taxiing for takeoff right now. That'll be an awesome takeoff. Big old 470 or 540 motor in that. Yeah, it looks like we got an RV6A. As I get a little bit older and I'm not that old right now, but as I look for retirement, RVs are definitely the plane that I'll be looking to own, or something of that nature. I really like the idea of a sleek 2-seater. Looks like we got a Cherokee maybe, an Arrow of some sort. He was slipping it in on final, was a little high. Got those flaps out of it right away. That was fantastic. I love to see that. Definitely flaps on a Johnson bar in that plane. which is awesome. The faster you can get those flaps out, the less chance you're going to balloon back up. Got another Cessna, looks like on final. Something on tricycle gear, that's for sure. Looks to me like he's only got maybe 20 degrees of flaps in. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe it's a 30. Maybe it's a plane limited at 30 degrees. I know some of the Cessnas only go to 30. Or maybe they were just white and I didn't get a good picture of it. Hey Dad, that looks like our old plane. I wonder if that's I wonder if that was the twin to ours that our buddy had. I can't think of his name. Anyways, we had a 172. That really brings me to another question a lot of people ask. But I'm going to wait until this. I don't know if this 180 is departing right now or not. A lot of people ask me, how'd you get into aviation, right? And, oh, he is going to depart. I'll wait till after we hear this beautiful 180 depart. What a thumper. I love it. Half flaps retracted already. Got another crosswinder. We got one coming in hot base. Sounds like a Beechcraft to me. It's a V-tail Bonanza, I'm almost positive. Almost positive. One of the most iconic silhouettes there is out there. V-tail Bonanza. Oh yeah, most definitely. Pretty great value for money too. Of course, you guys know I'm pretty partial to the Mooney. I think the Mooney is probably the best value for money in aviation if you're looking to travel cross country. The Bonanzas are right on their heels, no doubt about that. And the Bonanza guys would tell you it's the other way around, of course. Nice little V-tail. And looks like one of our, is that a SMAT plane? Got a nice little wave. West Michigan Aviation Academy was here when their Skyhawk SP looks like they're going to be taking off. That is a cool story. We have a high school local here. That may or may not be it. Anyways, we do have a high school local here where kids can get their pilot's license. How cool is that? In Grand Rapids, Michigan. Pretty darn neat. Anyways, back to the question. How'd you get into aviation? You know, my mom's brother, my uncle, is a pilot. He gave me a ride at a very young age, and I just had the bug. I wanted to be a commercial pilot. Of course, as a young kid, I wanted to fly in the military, and a lot of those things just didn't work out. People hear that I got my pilot's license and that my dad did as well, and everybody thinks, oh, your dad got you into flying. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. I got him into flying. After I started taking lessons, he decided that it's an achievement he'd like to get, so he went and got it too. And once we were both flying, here's a 172 on takeoff. Two people in that airplane, definitely. A little bit longer roll. He's sitting in ground effect right now and starting to climb out real nice as he gains some speed. So anyways, oh man, it's hot in here right now. They're coming in hot. We got another Cessna on final. Looks like another RV potentially turning base right now. That was a nice little landing right there. Held it off beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, so we got an RV turning final. I think it's an RV, something similar. And we've got another one downwind. Sounds like a twin to me. Could be wrong. tell people a lot, I'm wrong a lot. But just because you're wrong doesn't mean you shouldn't guess. Again, looks like another RV6A in my opinion. Oh man, didn't even hear him touch the ground. He should be proud of that one, no doubt about it. That's a greaser. There are no two ways about that one. Absolute greaser. All right, we got another plane turning base here in a minute. So again, I started flying actually before my dad did. He thought it would be a cool adventure. I don't know exactly what he was thinking, but he was at that time, what were you, 49, I think, maybe 50, right around there. And great opportunity to do some learning and conquer something. And then we did some flying together, and he bought a 172. I was the luckiest kid in high school. I had my own airplane and a gas card, and it was pretty awesome. I was real fortunate. And now it's, as I realize how lucky I was, that's my goal, is to help other people experience it like I was able to. You know, whether it's through giving them rides or my YouTube channel or experiences, or, you know, hopefully answering questions. And it's just my goal to inspire people and give them their first opportunity to fly as much as possible. And that's, as a community, that's what we need to do. Share in our fortune, our good fortune. So it was not a twin, but she's a speedy one. Maybe it's a Arrow. Oh no, Saratoga. I would say a Cherokee 6, but it's got retracts, so it's newer than that. Come on, Michigan Mooney family, where are you? We got to get some Moonies out here. Mine's tucked away in the old hangar. We need to get some Moonies flying in. You know, I couldn't see if it was 111 Romeo Whiskey, and he's too far away now. I have to look later. Looks like we got another brief little lull in the action. We had a lot come in real fast there. So a question I get asked a lot, and this is, again, probably a little harder one to answer for me, is what do you like to do with your airplane? Where do you like to go, right? And that's where it's always a challenge, because I want to have a mission. We all want to have a mission. That's why flying is fun. If you can, again, take somebody on their first flight, or make a trip in the airplane, or go on color tours, or the opportunities are endless. But flying is only fun if you have a mission, right? So finding that mission is always the challenge. So if you're going to get into aviation because you think it's cool, I would really encourage you to explore what your mission will be, not right after you get your license, because that's going to be an easy one, right? Flying is your mission right after you get your license. Continuing to learn is your mission. It's a year or 2 years or 5 years after you get your license when you really need to think about, what is my mission going to be. It's pretty clear. I started at a young age. I've quit many times. I've stopped flying for 3 or 4 years at a time and gone back and picked it up because, either financially I couldn't do it, or probably more than that, I didn't have a mission. I didn't have a clear mission, right? Other things were a priority in my life. And even today I struggle quite a bit to find that clear mission. And you just have to. You have to understand why you have your license. Too many times people get their license and it not lapses, they miss a biennial, they don't fly in a few years, and they give it up and they never go back to it. And then they lose confidence, they don't think they can do it anymore, and they never go back to it. And we lose people in the community that way. We need to continue to grow this community. We all need to be advocates for it. There's no doubt about that. The more people that we advocate for flying, the stronger the community will be. And we like to have events like this where there's lots of people and we can look at fun airplanes, and we don't want to see them go to the side. So another question I get asked a lot is buying an airplane, you know, obviously I own my Mooney 63C model, is buying an airplane like buying a car where, you know, it loses value constantly? And I tell people I really don't think it is. Not that it's an investment where I'm going to make a ton of money, but I do view it as an investment. Now, yeah, bad things can happen. I can have very big expenses that you know, can be painful. But the reality is there's fewer and fewer general aviation airplanes that are in airworthy condition in this country and in the world every day, in my opinion. Whether they fall away because of accidents, or got a 182, looks like he's taxiing down for takeoff. Whether it's because of accidents or because people can't afford to maintain them and they become dilapidated, they sit in ramps or outside or in hangars for years and years and never get touched. So a combination of that there's fewer airplanes every day, and nobody can afford new airplanes. At least, yeah, no one can afford new airplanes. Even if they are being produced, no one can afford them. The only people that are affording them are flight schools or the elite rich. And even if they fly them for 10 years, put a bunch of hours on them, you still can't afford them. You know, a 10-year-old Cirrus is still hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that really, you know, those economics drive up the prices of our general aviation airplanes. And I'm thankful for that. So as long as we dodge the real big ones, we'll be okay. All right. So we got a 182 taxi now, and we've got another Cessna on downwind. Oh man, I don't like that. I got lots to say about that. I don't mean to shame anybody or say bad things. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. That 182 just took off with 4 people in it. It sputtered when he put the throttle to it. It kind of fumbled around a little bit. And I never heard him do a run-up, that's for sure. Again, I don't want to say bad things, but safety needs to be our number one concern out here. That thing, it almost fell on its face. I thought it was gonna shut off when he put the throttle to it. It's probably a known condition. He's probably used to it. Maybe even knows what it is. Seems like something I wouldn't fly with, though. He's climbing out, turning crosswind. All right, we got another one on final. A little, I'm guessing 172, definitely Cessna. Nice, up come those flaps. Definitely. Nice little 172. And the next is already turning final. It's funny how people come in waves to these things. I don't know how many people are actually traveling together, but they seem to come in waves, no doubt about it. Something real interesting coming in behind it. I'm not gonna spill the beans. We'll get excited together as it comes behind. We got again another 172 looks like landing right now. Interesting, only has one wheel pant. I wonder what's going on there. Got the nose wheel, but the mains are not on it. That's all right. Okay, so short final. We've got a real interesting aircraft, I'll call it, and then I'm not sure what he's gonna do. And then we've got another one turning final long behind him. This is neat. Maybe I'm wrong about what this is. Maybe I'm just wrong. We'll just say the main source of propulsion is not on the front or the back. but I don't think it's a helicopter. It's a helicopter, but I think it's a gyrocopter. I'm pretty sure I see a blade behind that. And the guy that was on final is turning. How cool is that? I'm sure somebody knows who that is. An experimental gyrocopter. I had somebody tell me once that that was the most fun you could have in an aircraft right there. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd be willing to give it a shot. All right, so looks like the Cessna that was on final did a big old 360, extended his final and came back in. Gave that gyro some spacing. Probably didn't have to, but you know, it was a good call. Definitely a good call to be safe. No reason to put anybody in harm's way. That scout that came in earlier looks like he filled up on some pancakes and he's ready to start back on his Michigan flying day. I also want to point out just real quick, and we'll go right back to the airstrip. There's a lot of cars over there, so don't feel like you have to fly into these events. These are definitely events that are tailored to the community. Come in with your car, get some pancakes, see some airplanes, get the kids excited, get the dads excited. Let's all get excited. All right, likely another 172 on final. I can't understand why 172s cost so darn much money. They're everywhere. There's a million of them. Man, they're expensive these days. .122 Kilo Sierra, that's actually a training plane from Sparta. I don't know if that was a student or a full-fledged pilot in there or not. We do have a pretty good fleet of training airplanes at Sparta. There's a couple flight schools that operate. They have, there's at least 5 or 6 training aircraft out here. So if you're looking to get a license and looking to get involved and you live in the Michigan area, I would highly recommend Sparta. Again, it's a great airport, great facilities, great people, and a lot of availability in airplanes. So we've got a Debonair that I actually helped push back a little bit ago on the ramp. He's taxiing to take off. That Scout's taxiing to take off. And now we've got another tail dragger coming in. I think it's a Cessna. By the look of those flaps, like a 120 or 140. Nice little 3-point landing. Everybody's been greasing them today. I really, you don't want to see bad landings, but they're kind of fun to critique and watch and whatnot. But man, I haven't seen a single one. Every one of these landings I would be proud of. There's no doubt about that. It's starting to heat up again, that's for sure, traffic-wise. We got one maneuvering to get in downwind. We got one on downwind. We got one crosswinded downwind. We got this Scout taking off right now. After when it quiets down a little bit, we'll talk about traffic pattern safety and how we all stay safe out here. Understanding airplanes is a good way to stay safe. I'll just put that plug in right now. For instance, doing a run-up right now is this Beechcraft. If he was ready to go, it would not have been wise for him. Oh my gosh, we got all kinds of airplanes out here. It would not have been wise for him to take off behind that Scout because he's going to overtake that Scout. He knows that he's way faster than the Scout. So you have to understand the aircraft you're flying around. That's why we all use our aircraft type as we're talking. You have to understand at least the general principle of what these airplanes are and be able to make good decisions because of it, right? And that's how all these guys are staying safe. They're all talking on the radio. They're all communicating constantly. There's a lot of give and take that goes on. There's a lot of waiting. Like, well, I know you're in front of me. I'll do a 360 and get some spacing. We don't have anybody controlling us. We're controlling ourselves. Here's a good opportunity. This guy knows that he can get out and get out in front of this guy. Somebody just turned final. This guy's taking off. They look like they're close together. Plenty safe. We know what's going on. Beautiful Debonair taking off. I love the fuel efficiency of my Mooney, my 4-cylinder Mooney, but man, do I love the sound of that engine. Here we go, short final. Maybe a Cherokee. Oh no, that's another beach. Huh, I wouldn't have guessed that. Man, we got 3 of them lined up right now. 2 on final, one's short, one's long, another one extending a base, it looks like. We got a nice little V-tail, Bonanza coming in right now. This is a funnest time of this whole deal because people are coming and going. Get to see a lot of really cool airplanes. Came in a touch hot there. I'm gonna pan right back around here. Beautiful tail dragger. Maybe a 170, I'm guessing, Cessna 170. 180 maybe. So many cool airplanes. Okay, we got a long final and a short final right here. That looks like an RV to me. RV4. Definitely a plane that I'd like to have at some point in my life. I really like the Harmon rocket, and actually, kind of a story you probably don't need to know about, but I have a Harmon rocket tattooed on my back. I would really, it's small, but that was my dream plane as a kid, and I think I'd like to have one still. Pretty cool variant on the RV, big power variant. Looks like another 170 or probably a 170 coming in. Oh yeah, that's the one that just took off, I think. You'll have to tell me if I'm wrong. Here goes this 170, or I think it's a 170 or 180. 180 must be. Big thumper. Some of these guys know the cameras are out here and really want to get it off the ground quick. If I had it, I would too. Man, just constant traffic now. And one little lull, now we got some constant traffic. Another Cessna coming in. You have to appreciate all these airplanes for what they are. You know, the capabilities that some of these airplanes have is absolutely phenomenal. They all serve a purpose. They all were designed for a reason. This is the West Michigan Flight Academy 172. He's coming back. We'll say that was a student in there. That was a little long and a little hairy landing, but nothing too crazy. Got down safe. Wasn't too hard. I'm not keeping up on the comments real good, guys, but I saw something about a unicorn. I don't know. That's my wife's. My wife was running the radios one day. I finally talked her into it, and she told me because I made her do it, she was gonna, instead of saying uniform, she was gonna say unicorn every time to try and embarrass me. You gotta love that. You gotta love the wife. Another RV. RV4. One of the most prolific home-built planes in the world. Probably more of them than any other RV. I don't know what the numbers say. Of course, the A model stuff that's out there now, the nose wheel, tricycle gear stuff, is becoming more popular for obvious reasons. there just aren't many people training in tailwheel airplanes. That brings me to my next question. There's a plane on final. He's on long final, so we'll try and squeak this one in. A lot of people have asked throughout the Mooney community specifically, which obviously I'm a big part of, or I'm vested in. I'm not a big part of it. I'm vested in it. A lot of people have asked, can you train in a Mooney? And a lot of people say no. I don't share that opinion. I think if you go back earlier in this video when I talked about how you approach training and the work you do before you start training, if you immerse yourself before you start flying, there's no doubt you can train in a Mooney. Think back to all of our military aviators from way back in the day, back in World War I and World War II. They all trained in tail draggers. You're telling me a Mooney's harder to land or harder to manipulate than a tail dragger? You're out of your mind. I think it can be done and should be done if it's the right thing for you. It's not right for everybody. Training in Cherokees and 172s like this bird right here is a great option for a lot of people. But I know there are people who are successful in training in Moonies or in higher performance airplanes, whether it's a Cherokee, a Mooney, a Beechcraft, Bonanza, Debonair, whatever. It can be done. You can train in a tail dragger still if you find the right circumstances. So don't allow public opinion to limit what you're capable of. This guy really appears to me to be landing on the grass. And my butt is not gonna get hit. So let's hope that he does not land on these lights. If he's gonna land on the lights, then I'm safe. It's a carbon cub making a good grass landing. Right in the middle of it. Son of a gun. What a good job. But I'm glad I moved. I'm not sure if we're gonna be graced today with who I think's in the pattern right now. Oh man, is it heating up here. Got another RV slipping it all the way down to the ground. Kicked it straight as he hit the center line and greased her on. I think we might have a Larry Bauer spotting in the pattern. There's definitely a big yellow Super Cub on floats. Larry is one of the most prolific aviators out of the Sparta area. He's got a fantastic collection of airplanes and a beautiful Super Cub that he's been flying out here for years and years, ever since I was flying. That RV had a little bit of a wonky landing. It came in safe. Tail wheel first. I don't think that's the goal. I've never flown one, but I don't think that's the goal. Man, they come across fast. We've got a whole flight of RVs coming in, RV4s it looks like. There's 3 of them that just landed right now. Definitely the next one is not an RV4. We've got a Super Cub or something of some sorts. Somebody do me a favor if you're listening. Tell me what time it is, Eastern time. I can't see my clock and I don't want to get in trouble. All right, we got a Cub on final. Something of the, oh, it's not a Cub. It's a Luscombe maybe? No, too big for a Luscombe. I'm not sure what it was. 9:08, thank you very much. I'm supposed to be somewhere at 10 o'clock, but we'll see if that happens or not. Maybe he can wait. This is too much fun. We're seeing too many cool airplanes, too much of a good time, and it's busy. I think I see a chopper on the horizon. See what happens there. We do have a helicopter on the field here. He does a lot of color tours and Grand Rapids City tours. I haven't seen him in a while, but I think he's still here. So if you're looking to get a helicopter ride in, check out the Sparta Airport. I think it's My Flight, MIFLIGHT, like Michigan Flight, My Flight. Check those guys out. Got another 172, a little bit of a long landing. I think they're doing Young Eagle rides because that one's come and gone, and that was packed full of kids. Here's that what I believe to be a Super Cub on floats of perhaps Larry Bauer. They're amphib floats. No, I don't think that was Larry. No, not Larry, but another good, beautiful Super Cub on amphib floats in Michigan and other states, of course. But in Michigan, amphib floats are one of the most fantastic things you can have. We have so much water here, so much of an opportunity to land on water while maintaining the ability to land on pavement or grass. It's really cool. There's that helicopter. I can hear him somewhere. Oh yeah. We got, looks like a sundowner taking off. Got a helicopter coming over. Oh, so cool. Well, that was some pitiful videography. I apologize, guys. That was horrible. But how cool is that? Looks like a Huey military helicopter giving us a nice little low pass. Circling back around. Hopefully he comes in here and lands. If you don't think you'd have fun at one of these, I'm telling you, you're nuts. You just can't have more fun. And it's free. No one's charging you. Buy some pancakes, support the local EAA chapter, but no one's charging you. 182 landing. The only way I know that, definitely had his cowl flaps open. Good job following the procedure. Can't say I always do that. Here's this Huey again. I'm gonna go up by the lights because he could land anywhere. I don't think he's gonna land out by me, but I just got a haircut last week. I don't need another one. Oh man, is that awesome. Big old turbine powered. I'm gonna flip around real quick here. We got another one on final. Looks like a debonair. I'll tell you what, guys, I appreciate y'all being here. If you know somebody, oh, that's that same debonair. Maybe he's doing Young Eagle rides too. If you know somebody who's into aviation, share this thing with them. Get them excited. Obviously, if you're watching, you're probably into aviation. But if you know other people, again, it's our job to get more people interested and involved. Oh, an absolutely beautiful morning. Not a cloud in the sky. The wind is still really calm. There's maybe a 1 or 2 knot crosswind once in a great while. Nothing you can even feel. Looks like another 172. He made the turn late and is high. So you tell me what you would do in this situation. If it were me, I'd go around. Looks like that's what he's doing too. Either that or he was planning a low pass, low approach. Looking right at the sun. I kind of feel like he's still trying to land, and that would not be my approach. Unless, of course, he was intending to land long. But that's really long. We do have 4,000 feet of runway here. He landed with 1,000 to go. That's really long. Again, not sure if that was intentional or not. Looks like he got it woed up and is going to make that last taxiway off without a problem. We are uphill at the end. But that'll allow me to get on another little rant. I said I'd talk a little bit more about this traffic pattern safety. I think it's an important topic. A couple real big parts of traffic pattern safety. One, making good decisions. Knowing when to go around. Again, maybe that was planned. Maybe he's just a phenomenal aviator and decided to land it with 1,000 feet to go. I don't know. But if you're way too high, if you don't like what you see, go around. No one's forcing you to land. Of course, there are circumstances that we all get ourselves in from time to time. Not enough fuel to go around. I can't say I've ever been in that circumstance, but I know it happens to people. No go around options are just not good options. You have to be super capable to do that kind of stuff. So don't be afraid to go around, okay? Talk to people. More importantly than talking, listen to people, right? I don't know everybody's opinion on this, and it might ruffle some feathers. I am not a fan of the words, anybody in the pattern, please advise. Open your ears and listen. Listen for people calling, base, final, know what they're doing. We have ADSB, that's a good option to hear people or to see people. If somebody doesn't have a radio, they're not going to hear you make that call anyways. They're not going to hear you say, hey, tell me if you're there. So it's not, if somebody has a radio, they're likely making radio calls, and you shouldn't have to ask for it, right? But so listen closely and talk a lot, right? Tell people what you're intending to do. Tell people concisely how you're going to enter the pattern. Just communicate with each other, and then make good decisions. Know your speeds, have them down to a T, and know when things aren't looking right, and be willing to go around, okay? There should be no reason, again, in my opinion, to land with 1,000 feet to go. Now, with that said, I know there's events like Oshkosh where people land on the dot, right? And you're asked to land further down the runway, and I get that, but that's not what we're doing here today anyways. So anyways, that's my little rant. Make sure safety takes top priority. Something's going on here because our airport manager's screaming down the runway. He's not happy about something, and I'm not sure what that is. Oh, he's picking up some camera guys. So I was fortunate enough to be able to stand out here and have a chat with you all this morning and look at some cool airplanes. And I think I'm going to take a walk back now and walk by some cool airplanes, and we'll just keep this rolling for that nice little stroll. But there's also some Instagram guys over on the other side. I don't know their names. I wish I did. I'd tell you who they were so you can check them out. But they were out here spotting planes all morning, which is cool. Again, if you go about things the right way, if you talk to at Sparta, Marty, or any of the airport managers, and talk about what you want to do and how you want to get involved, even taking pictures or video or whatever, it's a very welcoming community, and I would encourage it, highly encourage it. So we'll flip back around here. We'll go for a little walk. Mike, I really appreciate you being here. I'm so happy to be able to do this. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody who's helped support my time to fly. It's become something that I never thought it would. I was trying to prove to myself that it was possible. And
Are you good? Any food or anything?
no, I'm walking in now.
Your, calories are with you.
Yeah.
We don't eat like that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of thing, We're such a welcoming community. So many people will offer to help. Like the biggest thing I want to do here is have an impact on other people. So for you to say thanks to me, that's meaningful, but what I really need to say is thanks to you all. Morning, Eric. How you doing, man? Just had a little fly-in out here at Sparta. I'm getting some good video of all these airplanes. I haven't been counting, but there's a bunch of them here. Young Eagle rides going on. Airplanes all over the place.
Oh, I mean, we get the whole infield of everything. And I would really, really like that picture. I'd probably only let one of you go. So
Sounds like we got a 172 taking off behind us. Again, doing Young Eagle rides. I think that's a great idea, Eric. Earlier in this live stream, I talked about my opinions on flight training and what the best options for flight training are. And I firmly believe that the best options are really small airports that are uncontrolled with a good 2 to 4 team group of airplanes that you can rent. Because when you get into the big schools, you're just a number. If you can, I'm not saying that about all of them, because I'm sure there's some really good ones. But I also know that you can be such a bigger priority if you go to a smaller airport. You'll get in the air faster. You won't deal with ATC all the time. I'm not saying they're bad. I love ATC. They're great people. But, you know, you don't want to burn up 0.2 or 0.3 on the Hobbs sitting on the ground doing nothing. You want to be in the air learning. So, again, my point, my opinion, you got to find the right school. Also, you need to find the right instructor. Not every instructor is for everybody. A lot of instructors have a style that does not mesh with other people. So don't settle. Do not settle for an instructor that you're not happy with. I was blessed to have 2 great instructors early on in my life. They were fantastic. But not everybody gets that lucky. So again, don't settle. Let's walk down this row of airplanes. Pretty cool stuff. We got a Cardinal here, the old strutless Cessna. Really a great way to have some speed in the Cessna platform. We'll see how many people we can get to tell us what they're flying. Oh, I already heard it. An Aranca Champ. Cool, man.
And 65 horse, maybe?
They came 65 horse stock. I put a 75 in this.
How cool is that? Flying on 5 gauges.
So, yep, you bet. I have to tailor that.
So now I know a couple of these airplanes, and I just heard this one. Here's a L2M Taylor Craft military service airplane. I don't know exactly what they were used for. Definitely were used fabric wings, fabric fuselage. Really cool. A Bird Dog. Yep, L2 Bird Dog. Right next to it, we've got a tri-pacer. My first lesson ever was in a tri-pacer. Pretty neat airplanes. They are fabric covered short wing Pipers. I think they usually have 140, 150 horse. What's really a cool thing about the tri-pacer is the nose wheel or the rudder pedals. Wait, let me get this right. The ailerons are connected to the rudder pedals in a pretty big way, where as you turn, typically you should not have to put rudder pedal inputs in. You can overcome those, but you shouldn't have to put any in. We'll be careful around here because a lot of people are coming and going. Somebody can tell me what this is. It is an experimental. Obviously on amphib floats that I talked about. So those wheels on the floats are retractable. So you can land on water. And then of course you can land on the wheels. I'm getting distracted. There's so many people. It's fantastic. Here we've got a Maul 815 Kilo Tango. Really capable off-road or off-strip airplane. I really like that cowl, really driving cooling air up on top of the engine and down through it, which is the goal here. Now we've got a row of some of the coolest airplanes that are being built out here at Sparta, actually. I believe these are Gordy's airplanes that he built. There's 3 Carbon Cubs lined up. So I think they're typically 150 horse Carbon Cubs, super light, all carbon fiber. A real common built airplane these days. If anybody watches Mike Patey, he builds on the Cub platform, things like that. And a really sweet, I don't even know what it is. I'd be lying to you if I told you. Eric's got it all, man. That is awesome. Definitely a road race setup in there as well. Roll cages and some little seats. I do some circle track racing, but never anything like that. That's a cool plane. You guys will find that in the aviation community, there is a ton of really cool stuff. Antique cars, along with airplanes. Just a lot of people that are enthusiasts. Again, here's that third Carbon Cub, lining them right up. I think he's built 4 or 5, and I don't know how many he's sold, but I think he hangs on to a fair amount of them. Another cool tail dragger. Again, I don't keep up on these things enough. Somebody knows what it is, but it's not me. Then we've got 3 Stearmen lined up. Really neat. Big radial engines hanging off the front. Talk about air cooling. No cowl around them at all. Wide open. Along that line, it's not out here, I don't think, today, but a good friend of mine is actually building a... oh, yeah, right. Like, now I can't remember. Oh my goodness. So World War II or World War I fighting airplane. I can't think of the name of it. The most prolific World War I fighting airplane. I don't know. Somebody will tell me. But it's got a rotary radial engine where these radials are stationary and have a master connecting rod and then the accessory rods in it. The whole engine case rotates around it. Pretty neat. It's not built yet. The engine's together and runs, but he's still working on the airframe. Over here you can see lots of people and of course all of the RC airplanes, big RC contingent, Wolverine Skyhawks. I know they're looking for a new facility. I think their facility in Cedar Springs is being repurposed. So if you've got some land and you want a lot of cool RC airplanes flying around it, get a hold of those guys, the Wolverine Skyhawks. I think they are looking for a place to be. I have some friends that are pretty into that community. It's really fun. It's a lot about flying them, but it's also a lot about working on them, building them, craftsmanship, a lot of pride in what they're building. I mentioned 122 Kilo Sierra before. That is one of our local flight school airplanes. A lot of students getting their wings in that bird. There's 739 Echo Romeo that also is in the hangar back there. You can't hardly see it. That's another common airplane that people are flying in a lot to get their licenses. And there's a couple more around here. So if you're looking for flight instruction in the West Michigan area, definitely check out Sparta Airport. You will not be let down. Here's that canard, long, easy, pusher style airplane. I'm gonna see if I can get him to answer what he came over the numbers at. I said it was 100 miles an hour. We'll see what he thinks. What do you guys think? Give it a guess. What did he come over the numbers at? Pretty awesome. Hey, we videoed you coming in. I have a question for you if you're willing to answer it. What'd you come across the numbers at? Too fast. How much? 80 knots? Okay. What's your typical speed across the numbers? 73. We noticed you were one of the faster ones coming across, that's for sure. Yeah. What do you cruise at? 160 knots on what? 6 gallons an hour? 5 gallons an hour? 7? Okay. I'm a Mooney guy. I've got an M20C, so I'm a little slower, a little more fuel burn, but yeah. Yeah, it's a great plane. I'm very fortunate. But it's a beautiful plane.
Thank you.
I can just haul an extra person. That's my only advantage.
Yeah, you can haul more people.
Are you guys just walking out? Yeah. Can you run down this side of the,
Yes, sir.
on the grass there? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready to go home?
Well, in just a little bit I will be.
Getting yelled at. Hey, part of the deal. All for good video, right? Pretty cool long EZ. I thought he was a little bit faster over the numbers. 80 knots is, what is that? 90 miles an hour, so wasn't too far off. Here's that. Well, I think it's a Huey. Pretty awesome. Tons of people who are interested in aviation. How cool is that? You gotta love it. Really have to respect the engineering of these helicopters. Unbelievable. But also along with that comes the maintenance budget. Too rich for my blood. Little RV taking off, scooting out of here. And while he scoots out, we'll take a look at these RV4s that are on the ground here. Again, really capable cross-country airplanes. Really, in my opinion, some planes that brought home built into the nice sticker. It's foreplay. Really brought home builts into the scene. They've done a phenomenal job fostering that community. A lot of them out there in military dress, military paint schemes like this. You can really see pride and ownership of these airplanes. It's interesting, you don't see too many with a 3-blade prop up front. It's pretty narrow, so maybe it's still 160 horse, 150 horse. All aluminum airplanes, no fabric. A lot of home builds these days, or in the past, have been fabric. These are all aluminum. Now there's some carbon fiber home builds that are coming. Like the Carbon Cub, of course, is carbon fiber as a home built. And now there's one being worked on over in Wisconsin. That's a 2-seater tricycle gear, retractable carbon fiber airplane. That's going to be phenomenally fast. Hopefully they get that in the air real soon. Here's RV4, number 4. Another 3-blade, so maybe I should just keep my mouth shut because apparently there's more than a couple of them out there. And RV4, number 5. It's really neat how much of somebody's personality they can put into one of these airplanes. They're a kit, right? So same basic structure, but you can really put your personality into it in avionics and paint scheme and power plants. And really neat. Really neat. Here's that gyrocopter that came in. How cool is that? Got a Rotax. Must power them both. Open cockpit. Somebody wants to see the old Saratoga. That is something that I could find myself in as my family grows. Maybe a little bit harder to afford. Cherokee 6 is probably more of an opportunity than a Saratoga. But you can see the face-to-face rear seat in there. Hopefully you can see it. It's a little bit of a glare deal. So face-to-face rear seat, lots of space and leg room if you were just hauling a couple, or even cup holders. Man, what I wouldn't give for a couple cup holders in my Mooney. Sounds crazy, but whew, would that be nice. Your friend has a beautiful airplane, that's for sure. It's really nice. Really nice. 111 Romeo Whiskey. Yeah, thanks for being here, man. My pleasure. If, you know, really, I don't know, as I talk about upgrading airplanes, which is a long way in the future. Again, the C model Mooney's going to take me a long ways, I think. But I probably will get out of a single as quick as I can as I look to upgrade. There's a lot of value in 310s, twin Comanches, things like that. I know 310s are a lot more capable than the Mooney, so I'd probably look to upgrade into something like that. But we'll see what happens. Maybe even something bigger will come along. Good friend of mine, he recently upgraded from a 182, actually the 182 that we had considered buying, into a 310. And I know he's had to put some work into it, but I think it's going to be exactly what he needs as he continues down his journey. And I think, I'd have to ask him, but I think his plan as of a while ago was after that 310 to move up into a little jet, like a Mustang or some sort of little jet. He travels a lot for business and a lot for fun, so could be a fun option. You guys will have to tell me what this is. I'm not necessarily a big Piper guy. I don't know them. It is not a twin Comanche. It's bigger than that. I actually saw him come in and was a little concerned about him making the trek across the grass, but he's got a lot of wingtip clearance. So. All right, well, I want to say one more time, I appreciate you all being there. What a fantastic morning. Tons of airplanes. Get out there and be a part of your community. If you love airplanes and aviation and what we're doing here, just go out there and enjoy it. Take a walk around airplanes like I am this morning. Hopefully you enjoy what you see, but you'll enjoy it way more if you get out here and see them in person. So with that said, I'm gonna grab a quick little bite to eat, and I am going to go fulfill some other duties that I have to get done today. I really appreciate y'all being here, and we'll see you the next time it's my time to fly, which with any luck will be tomorrow morning. Have a great one, guys. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Hug your families. Thanks for being here.